Have you ever asked someone to do something and they didn't do it? Well, it doesn't feel so great, does it? Well, what did Jesus ask you to do as a disciple? Well, Jesus said, go make disciples. Good morning and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about easy to remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point is to help you experience life to the fullest, the Jesus way. Today's Jesus Said comes from Matthew 28:19, and we're going to read through verse 20. And just setting a little bit of context here, in verse 18 of Matthew 28, Jesus has just said that all authority has been given to him. Therefore, do these things. So let's pick that up in verse 19. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And remember, I am with you always to the ends of the age. So, summing that up again, Jesus in verse 18 said, all authority has been given to me, therefore go. Well, what does go actually mean? That sounds like a silly question, but based on how we often ignore these simple instructions, maybe not. This wasn't some empty command. We have been given both the authority and the power to do exactly what Jesus said, and he said, go make disciples. And an important thing to realize is that word go literally means go. In the original meaning and context, go doesn't actually mean don't go. So why don't we obey this clear command? Somehow this seems to have become an optional part of following Jesus. And I think another question that we need to ask is, what is a disciple? Maybe we don't go because we've wimped out on what a disciple really is. Jesus made disciples. And what did those disciples do? They obeyed his commands and made disciples that made disciples, disciple makers. And we see evidence of that in Acts 2 as the Lord added to the church daily, not once a week, every day. Well, why don't we see that? Well, Jesus didn't disciple the crowd. Thousands showed up for the miracles, for the free food and the great stories. But Jesus poured the truth of God's kingdom into a dozen ordinary men that would end up changing the world. He did life with them, and they learned to do what he did. So who are we doing life with? Who are the disciples that you are making? For too long, I counted the crowd as disciples, but I wasn't actively going daily to make disciple makers. You see, first we have to accept that a disciple is a disciple maker and settle for nothing less. That's really the only metric or measuring that makes a difference and that really matters. Jesus never said, go plant churches, go build buildings, go form organizations, go change politics, go fix the world. Now, none of those things are bad, But the way to all of those things should be by making disciples. Are we making disciples? Imagine that Jesus said, go make pepperoni pizza. I know that sounds a little absurd, but then he gave us the recipe for that. Well, what if we spent all of our time analyzing the recipe and trying to make it easier to follow? What if we made chicken Alfredo pizza because it was more popular or easy? What if we built big pizza places where no one really ever made pizza, but they just collected all the supplies and the recipe and celebrated that? You know, had Jesus said, make pepperoni pizza, that's what we should be making. And it would be easy to see if we were actually doing what Jesus said, because the proof would be in the pizza. Well, Jesus gave us a recipe to go make disciples. Go make disciples of all the nations. And the proof is in the pizza. Where are the disciples making disciple makers? You see, we have no business spending all of our time trying to fix the evil in the world and for those outside of church if we aren't even obeying what Jesus said. Go make disciples. How can you put that into action today? Well, it starts with go. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like to learn how to become a disciple maker, I would love to connect with you. Do a comment, send me a message. We would love to help you understand what being a disciple maker really is. Thank you so much for listening. If this is meaningful to you, it really means a lot. If you like it, if you share it, if you comment, I really appreciate you. And I hope that you have an amazing day. And I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest, the Jesus way. And remember, follow Jesus today. Love first.